Hi, Adrian. Hope all is well with you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Man, great to see you too. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that is close to my heart as a coach: how to make good decisions in football. And I have a few questions that I'm going to pose to you about this topic, and I know you'll handle them well. The first part I want to go to is, frequently we talk about good decisions. Unfortunately, we see some bad decisions in football far too often, for sure. And my question to you would be, why do footballers frequently make bad decisions?
Okay. I think that it comes down to two main reasons. One is a football related reason, and one is a reason related to everybody having to handle. In terms of the football one, footballers have to make very quick decisions, and they have to do it oftentimes with a large audience and with an audience that wants you to fail. So that's the football specific issue. And then there is the difficulty of navigating the real world, if you like everybody else. Out there are people who are biased or corrupt or simply lying to you. And trying to make decisions in that environment is difficult. On top of that, we actually actively sabotage the decision-making process. I'll give you one quick example. One way that we do it is we hate losses, and we will do anything to prevent a loss. And as a result, we actually go backwards by preventing a loss. So there's a lot of external conditions and internal conditions which make decision-making very difficult for footballers.
So the next question to you: how do those external factors, affect footballer? A footballer.
Okay, cool. Okay, excellent. Let's imagine that a footballer is trying to determine which fitness trainer he should hire. And one of the problems that a footballer will have is people lie quite often. For instance, there was a research study done that found the average adult lied to about 30% of all the people they speak to in any given week. So if you're talking to a fitness trainer, how do you know if they're telling a lie or telling the truth? Let's go a step further. There was a study done with university students, and they secretly taped a 10-minute conversation the students had. And then they told them, we have been taping you. I want you to go back and look at the video and see how many times you lied. And what they found was the university students lied 1.75 times in that short 10-minute period. So there's a lot of external factors making it very difficult for us and footballers to make good decisions.
Oh, so well, this leads into maybe you could explain to me, right? How in more detail, right? How we could actually sabotage decision making.
Oh, okay, correct. And this is something that the average person doesn't really know they're doing. Yeah, this will probably come a little bit of a shock to most listeners right now. But I'll give you an example. We tend to ignore contradictory evidence once we have labeled somebody or labeled something. So let's take basketball. With the draft for the NBA, if you are the first choice, you are likely to have a very long career. But if you are chosen right down one of the last ones to be chosen, your chances of being drafted are much higher, and the length of your career is likely to be a lot shorter. And the reason why is the decision makers just can't get out of their head the opinion that they made of this basketballer way back when they were drafted. So 5 years later, the amount of time you get on a court is very much determined by what ranking you had 5 years ago, because we just can't get out of our head contradictory evidence. So you might have played very well after draft day but it doesn't seem to matter. So decision making is a lot harder than we realize because we're sabotaging the process.
Okay, so go back to football and all. What should a footballer do to overcome these external and internal problems?
Cool, great question. The first thing I'd say is do a decision-making course. Find a course that goes for 1, maybe 2 days, and learn as many techniques as you can, and then trial them out. Hopefully a course like that will teach you things like, a very important one is, with important decisions, take your time, sleep on it, and it's amazing what you will then discover the following morning, having thought about it. Another one they may teach you is how to make an important decisions diary or important decisions journal. And in that journal, you'll write down things like who you talked to about the decision, how long it took you to make the decision, how many days you took. And so you'll write down a number of characteristics about the decision making so that in the future you can go back to your journal and see, when do you make good decisions and when do you not. Another one that they'll hopefully teach you in the course are checklists. One of the nice things about checklists is it stops you from having to think. You just look at your checklist and this is what needs to be in my bag tomorrow. And I just follow the checklist and I don't have to think much. And the less time you spend thinking, the better, so you're not as fatigued on game day.
All right. No, I love that. No, let's take it to the pitch. And relate to the footballers now, right? What can the footballer do to make better decisions during a match? This is the key.
It is. And yet the interesting thing about all this, as much as we all want to talk about the pitch and the field and the game, the reality is most of this should actually be done away from the pitch and away actually probably from football. So let me explain. Let me give you 3 really good things that footballers can do that'll make them make far better decisions on game day. One is to have really great nests. The second one is to be low in anxiety. And the third one is to be high in confidence. So let me explain one by one. In terms of nests, which stands for nutrition, exercise, sleep, thinking, and social support. If you have really good nests, come game day, you are likely to make really good decisions. But let's imagine the opposite. You don't eat well, you don't exercise, you get poor sleep, you think negative, and you have lousy social support. When it comes to game day, you are far less likely to make good decisions. So a lot of the things you do away from training and away from football have a massive impact on game day. Now let's take the next one, anxiety. If you are cool, calm, and collected and have low levels of anxiety during the week, then as a result, you're more likely to also have that at training and at game day. And what we know from good research is that the less anxious you are, the better decisions you make on a football field. But if you're anxious, you don't make as many good decisions. You tend to be more inaccurate. And then finally, confidence. There's a strong relationship between high confidence and good decision making. If you are highly confident, then you make decisions more accurately and more quickly, and you have more confidence about your decision. So you just take the 16/17-year-old Spanish player who took a shot in the final, an amazing shot, and he backed himself. He had this confidence, and he went for it, and you saw the result. He scored a goal, all because of confidence. So a lot of the things, even though we're talking about the football field, it's actually away from the football field that matters.
Your listeners right now can go back and search for you about confidence. You did a podcast about confidence. They can reflect on that one. Yeah. But okay, let's stick to on the pitch and the player. Now, unfortunately, players make decisions after they receive the ball, turn and look to make a decision. And that's why we talk about scanning also. Now, from what you think, how can coaches train players to make quicker decisions?
Okay. Really good footballers are scanning all the time, as you know, as a coach. And
Yes.
so if you've got a forward, they're looking for gaps, they're looking for spaces, they're creating spaces, and the same sort of thing with the defenders. They are putting their body positions in an ideal place so they can see well, and they're looking behind them, scanning behind them. And this is the sort of thing that coaches need to be training quite frequently. Mm-hmm. And so what you can do is do a rondo session where you are looking behind you as the emphasis. The next rondo session might be you're emphasizing ideal body positioning so you can see better. And then the next rondo session could be focusing on footwork for scanning. Anyhow, after you've done that, that can all be filmed. And then the coach and the players, or the coach and a player, can then look at the video and see, what have we done right, what have we done wrong, how can we do it better? Then you can use mental imagery. If the coach knows how to do mental imagery, which is not too hard to learn, then they can run sessions with the player to imagine, okay, so the ball is 1 meter away from you, where are you scanning? The ball is now 2 meters away from you, where are you scanning? Then ideally, what you want to do is actually have group sessions where you have the whole team scanning. And for instance, the AC Milan coach used to do this. And what he would do is he would shout out a player's name, and that person would look and scan, and the rest of the team would imagine him scanning. Then you can do all sorts of things on that. You can make it harder and harder by imagining that there's a person right on that player, and at the same time they're trying to scan. And one thing that I really like to do is you just shout out the name of a player and everybody imagines him scanning. And if you do that 2 or 3 times over the course of a couple of weeks, people are going to take scanning more and more seriously. And next thing you know, you're going to get some good results.
I love that. I love that piece of advice. Trust me, I've never heard it explained that way, that exercise. That's a very good exercise right there. Apart from doing that and the coach's decision and encouraging, this is very important. Is there anything footballers can do prior to the game to improve decision making?
Oh, absolutely. I'd probably give you more than one example. One thing you should do is you should have a routine that you do over and over and over on game day. And that needs to have been practiced many, many times so that it becomes automatic. The more things you can do on a football field automatically without any real conscious thinking, the more effective you'll be, because you'll be quicker and you'll be relying on basically confidence. And what we know, as I said before, is the more confident you are, the more likely your decision will work out well. So one thing you want is a routine that you do over and over and over. Another thing that you should do just before you're going out to the field, be it at the start of the match or at halftime, is to stay calm. Really low anxiety, really high emotional stability and calmness really helps make good decisions. So do whatever you need to do to stay calm. And part of that may be before you line up to go out, things like diaphragmatic breathing, progressive muscular relaxation, meditation, CBT exercise, a whole lot of things that a sports psychologist can teach a player and can teach coaches to teach players. So there's a number of things to do, but if you just focused on those, have a pre-planned routine and staying calm, you're well and truly in the right direction.
I love that. Now, my final thing to finish, right? To finish up, what final piece of advice do you have for footballers about decision making or making decisions?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Let's keep it simple. There's an Algerian philosopher called Albert Camus, and he says a very simple thing. He says, life is the sum of all your choices. And I really like the simplicity in that. What he's basically hinting at is if we trained decision making, we would make better choices. And that will end up giving us a better life. So take decision making seriously. Do a course on decision making. Try out some of the techniques. And then, as a result, you end up with a better life, buddy.